25. Isra. I am married. I wear a black dress and a black cap over my hair, breaking mourning tradition and wedding tradition, making it clear I consider the ceremony the blackest of rites. Bo holds my hand during our vows, but he doesn't stay in the tower that first night, or the next, or any thereafter. I understand that he means to keep his promise not to be cruel, and I am grateful for small favors. I'm grateful for big ones too. As the world beneath the dome begins to fade and falter, I know Bo is all that stands between me and death. He begs the advisors to give me more time, to come to my senses. I beg the desert to send Gem back to me before it's too late. Needle sneaks to the wall every night after returning my dinner tray. She watches for a fire by the gathered stones, while I stand by the door, waiting for news of Gem, hoping so hard it hurts. I'm always disappointed. Winter ends and the days grow longer and warmer, but the crops refuse to grow. The cows cease giving milk and, as our stores are used up and milk is replaced with water and wine, I learn what has caused the sad state of my skin. An allergy to the milk I've drunk every morning and been bathed in twice a day, every day, since Needle came to care for me. She blames herself for not realizing the milk and honey baths were hurting more than helping, but I assure her I'm not too angry. I'm elated. Gem was right about that too. I add it to my list of things to tell him. But weeks pass and he doesn't come, and things only get worse. The chickens refuse to lay eggs, and half of the livestock fall over dead in the fields. The orchard flowers rain to the ground, but no leaves or fruits grow in their place. Beneath Yuan, the underground river becomes a narrow stream. Water is rationed, and the city's worry becomes an ever-present buzzing fear. I know what game the dark heart plays, but I refuse to panic. Gem will come. He will come and we will end this madness. Forever. We can do it. I've read the Queen's diary. I know the secret now. For a month, I believe, and then the month becomes 2 months. More. I stop waiting by the door. No longer certain the black night outside the dome will ever be broken by the light of Gem's fire. I retreat to my bedroom to sleep the rest of my life away, to dream and keep on dreaming. I dream all the time. There is nothing to do in my prison but sleep and dream, wake and dream. Sit staring at the scrap of sky visible through the mostly walled-up window in my room, and ache for my freedom like a missing limb, and dream and dream. I learned to speak the language of midnight, to communicate with phantoms. I have long conversations with the burning face in the dream, my ancestor, Anna, King Sato's third wife. Reading her diary has opened a door between us, and now we speak freely, without needing sleep as a meeting place. She tells me of Yuan at the end of its first 100 years, before the dark heart was forgotten, when every soul in the city knew the roses were the teeth of the monster they had created. She tells me of growing up, yearning for the world outside, watching from the wall walks the giant cats roaming the grasslands, and longing to run free the way they did. She tells me of her 14th birthday, and the meager meal she shared with her family at the end of a summer when the crops had refused to grow, the day it was decided that the queen must die, and Anna's father promised her to the king. King Sato was tired then, already finished with 2 wives, and decades older than his new bride. The king promised Anna's father that he, the king, would take his turn under the blade when it became necessary, and he and Anna were married. Years passed, and 3 children were born. Then, Just before Anna's 36th birthday, the crops once again began to fail. King Sato was nearing his 90th birthday, but when the advisors agreed the time had come for a sacrifice, he refused to go to the roses. Anna was told to kiss her children goodbye and prepare herself for the ceremony the next morning. Terrified, Anna ran from the tower, through the failing fields, begging for blood, to the king's gate and out into the desert. She hid in the tall grass that surrounded the city in those days, praying she wouldn't be found by wild animals, hoping the king would take his own life within a day or two and she would be able to return home. It was there, sleeping in the grass, with her cheek pressed to the earth, that she spoke to the pure heart of the planet for the first time. She'd been raised to fear the dark heart's other half, the magical force that had caused the deformity of most Yuan citizens, but she found the pure heart anything but cruel. It spoke kindly to her. It offered her life instead of death. It told her how to break the curse and restore the health of the planet and all the creatures living upon it. Anna was transformed, frightened, but also filled with the certainty that her people must change their ways and end the division of the world. She returned to the city and to her tower, where she wrote her last diary entry, the one explaining how to break the curse and why the people of Yuan must reach out to the monsters in the desert. The diary ends there, but Anna's spirit shows me the morning the guards came to escort her to the royal garden. King Sato and the heads of the noble families were gathered around the roses. The royal executioner was already wearing his hood. Anna begged the king to listen to what she'd learned outside the dome, but he wouldn't. No one would, just as no one would remind the king that, according to the covenant, his life would serve just as well as hers. The king threatened to kill Anna and marry another if she refused to offer herself to the roses while beneath the soil. The dark heart called to her, promising her peace and rest, assuring her there was no other choice but death. Finally, Anna gave up. She knelt down. She took the knife in her hand and opened her own throat. The executioner ensured that her death was swift. After the ceremony, King Sato buried the covenant beneath a paving stone in the royal garden and ordered all copies of the text burned, hoping to ensure the ignorance of his fourth wife. Unfortunately, the king didn't live to enjoy his new wife for long. Only 2 days after giving Anna's bloodless body to the river, the king suffered a heart attack in his bed and died. His new wife, barely 20, was unprepared to rule, married Anna's eldest son the next afternoon, and went on to give the city many sons and daughters. Anna had died for nothing. Her soul lingered to see that painful fact, to see her diary hidden away by her maid, and to see the truth of the covenant and the dark magic it nurtures, lost to the people living beneath the dome. Her spirit lingered for centuries, reaching out to Yuan's rulers in their dreams, hoping one would discover her diary. She was a part of the city, but a piece that didn't fit, the keeper of a secret even more important than the location of the covenant, the keeper of the truth about the dark heart and the only way to end the nightmare of life under the domes. Love. The secret is love. A citizen of the dome cities and a man or woman of the monstrous tribes must love each other more than they love anything else. When they do, the cities will fall, life will return to the desert, and every creature dwelling on the planet will be made whole and strong. All it takes is love. My mother must have also somehow discovered the truth. That had to be why she took me into the desert, and why she attempted to destroy our family when she was locked in the tower and denied a way out of Yuan. She wasn't crazy. If she succeeded in burning the 3 of us to ash that night, there would have been no blood for the dark heart. Murder would have succeeded in destroying Yuan, but only love will heal our world. I love Jem. I grow more certain of that every day. I also grow more certain that Jem is dead. He would have returned by now if he weren't. I know he would. He must have died out there in the desert, and now I will never be able to tell him how much he means to me. At least, not in this life. I ask Anna's spirit if I will see Jem in the afterlife, but that is one question she refuses to answer. She doesn't want to believe I will share her fate. She wants to believe Jen and I will end the curse, but I know better. Yuan is failing. I awake each morning, certain I'll find Genji and the guards waiting outside my bedroom, prepared to kill me if I continue to refuse to give my life for my city. Bo can hold them off for only so long. They will come. Soon. My time grows shorter than the thorns on the royal roses. I tell Needle about the secret location of the Covenant, but warn her to stay away from the garden. Still, I'm not surprised when she returns one evening with a scroll wrapped in cloth so ancient that it falls apart in my hands. I unroll the paper carefully. Needle reads and signs each word. I follow along, flinching when she reads the final line, and I learn that Anna was telling the truth. Our city's bargain with the Dark Heart calls only for the death of one bound by oath of marriage to the first sacrifice. One bound by oath. Not a woman bound by oath. Not a queen. A king will serve just as well. It's a little betrayal in a world ravaged by centuries of hatred and suffering. But it doesn't feel little. It feels like proof that there is nothing good within the human heart. How could there be, if an entire generation could condemn Yuan's daughters to death because they found that a preferable death of Yuan's son? What is there worth fighting for? Worth dying for? What have any of my dreams ever been worth? That night, I tuck the Covenant beneath my mattress, lay my head on my pillow, and dream of the day my mother took me walking outside the dome. I smell the wild scent of the desert. I feel the sun hot on my cheeks. I hear a whisper on the wind, a voice begging me to stand up to my people and for my people, and force the darkness to end with me, to save my daughters, to save myself, to be brave. I wasn't brave. I was as afraid of that voice as I was of death itself. So afraid, I buried every memory of my life before I heard it, in an attempt to keep myself from remembering what I had been asked to do. But I'm not afraid anymore. I am finished with my fearful heart. I am ready. I am brave. Are you certain? Needle mouths. Yes, but I want you to go first, I say, refusing to meet her sad eyes. I look at the pile of bricks in the corner instead. Needle has been gathering them, one by one, two by two, for the past month. As soon as Bo left this afternoon, lips pressed into a thin line after all of his pleading won him nothing but a pat on the shoulder and a walk to the door, she began pulling the bricks from their hiding place. Tonight is the night. Tonight I will build my own walls. First, a barrier to cover up the entrance to the tower. Then, a wall in front of my bedroom door. And finally, another behind. It should be enough to hold the soldiers until tomorrow morning, and maybe even a bit longer. It will be enough. The city is on the brink. Suddenly, this very morning, Yuan went from ailing to falling to pieces. The walls began to crumble. Above our heads, the dome groans like a field animal that has swallowed something foul. Needle says only the nobles still believe the city can be saved. The people from the Banished camp, the farmers and their remaining livestock, and all but a few of the commoners from the city center are fleeing into the desert, bound for Port South. I hope they make it there safely. I don't wish them any pain, but the cost of saving Yuan is too great. The Dark Heart will not feed from this city again. I've failed to end the curse and heal our planet. Either Jem is dead, or he never loved me the way I loved him. I suppose I'll never know which, but I won't fail in this. I'll take one city away from the darkness. Yuan will fall, and there will be only 2 cities left. And maybe someday, in one of those cities, a girl or a boy will look into the desert and see someone who makes him or her want to change the world. I close my eyes and see Jem's face as clearly as ever. Nearly 3 months, and I can still remember the way his eyes reflected the candlelight, the warmth of his skin, the feel of his lips. Bo didn't mar that memory. He has been a better unwanted king than I could have imagined. He has never stolen so much as a kiss. He has refused to take what wasn't freely offered. Not a kiss, and certainly not my life. I knew he'd been sent to kill me today. I knew it before he said a word, before he fell to his knees, begging me to save the city and spare at least one woman's life. He warned me that his father would come tonight with his own knife. Bo can't protect me any longer. This evening, Junji will arrive at the tower to slit my throat, and Bo will marry another. The woman has already been chosen. A woman older than Bo, with 2 children, she'll leave motherless. The oldest a 5-year-old girl, who will become the next in line for sacrifice if Bo never marries again. The woman's wedding dress is sewn, and her mind made up. She will say her vows with a blade in her hand, and willingly give her blood to the roses as soon as she is made the queen. Bo was so genuinely troubled by it all. It made me glad the covenant is hidden in my room and will remain there until the city falls. When I first learned the truth, I wanted nothing more than to throw it in Bo's face, to make it clear his blood would serve the roses just as well as mine. But in the end, I had to keep the ancient king's secret. If Bo knew he could feed the roses, he might pick up the knife and do so, and I can't have that. I need the dark heart to starve. I need the city to fall. Soon. Tonight, if I'm lucky. You have to go. I turn back to Needle, who has yet to budge. You have to tell the people of Port South how to end the curse. Her bird hands flit from my shoulders to my cheek, but her kindness offers no comfort. There was a fire in the desert again last night, Needle mouths. My stomach flutters. It's probably some of our people, I say, camping by the dome, waiting to see if the city will be restored. It could be him, she mouths. Let me go and see. Him. Jem. Even thinking his name makes my heart do strange things in my chest. It's too late, I whisper. If he loved me, he would have come sooner. Needle's fingers move beneath my hand. Maybe he was prevented from returning. How? I ask. Maybe he was hurt or grew ill. Maybe his people did the same thing to him that yours have done to you. I don't think the Monstrous have towers or walls made of stone. Needle scowls. Don't make jokes. Junji will kill you. Only if he can get through my walls before the city crumbles. Then the city will kill you. The city was always going to kill me, I say. At least this way, I will take Yuan with me. But what if Jem... Leave, I snap, unable to bear thinking of Jem right now. I have to get started. Even the fast-setting motor will need an hour to gain strength. I must have the first wall built before sunset. You're wasting my time. Needle's lip trembles, and her eyes shine with unshed tears, and I immediately feel terrible. Poor, tired Needle, my dear friend. Please, love, I say, taking her sweet face in my hands. You have been my mother and my sister and my slave and my keeper for too long. Take your bag and go. Go to Port South and live. Find people you can trust and tell them the truth. There can still be a future for this planet. All hope is not lost, except for me. It doesn't matter, it's Jem who's been lighting those fires by the stones these past 2 nights. It's too late. Even if I let myself believe in Needle's excuses for his long absence, there's no way I can join him in the desert. If I set foot outside the tower, I'm a dead woman. The soldiers have been ordered to kill me on sight. Bo warned me of such this afternoon. Junji is determined that I will die before sunset and has enlisted every remaining city of Yuan to his cause. Save one. You've been so good to me, I say. I want you to live and be happy. I would rather stay, Needle signs, but I'll do as you ask. She picks up the pack we've filled with food and clothes and all of my jewels. No need for them to be buried along with me, not when they could help Needle get settled in her new home. I'm not sure how the people of Port South treat their damaged people, but I know a rich, mute woman has a better chance than a penniless one. I will miss you, my friend, she mouths, refuting my claim that she's been a slave or keeper, with the same firm grace with which she has always handled me. What would I have done without her? Goodbye, I whisper, eyes filling as I stand and hug her tightly. After a moment, she moves out of my arms and back down the stairs without a pause in her step, without looking back. I tell myself I'm glad, and then I cry the tears I've refused to cry all day, but only for a minute. There isn't time to waste. When my brief cry is over, I wipe my nose on my less than fresh overalls and get to work. It doesn't take long to lay the first row of stones. The quick-drying motor is already mixed and ready. By the time my tears have dried on my cheeks, I have the beginnings of my wall. Unfortunately, beginnings are not the same as endings. I'm not even close to an ending when I hear footsteps on the stairs. Heavy steps, 2 pairs of boots, 2 men's voices arguing in harsh whispers as they circle around the top of the tower. When they reach the last stair, Junji pauses, clearly surprised to see me and my half-wall. What is this, Isra? Junji's eyes are sad, but not nearly as sad as his son's. I tried to stop him, Bo says, from his place behind his father. I wanted you to have a few more hours. A few more hours. Then he means to do it, to help his father kill me. No, I whisper, shaking my head. I can't have failed, not when I'm so close. This doesn't have to be painful, Junji says, holding out his hand. You can still change your mind and make your death a meaningful gift to your city. It's no gift, not for you or Bo or anyone else. I back away, my trowel falling on the floor with a dull thud, smattering motor across my bare feet. This city is built on evil. It has to end with me, I say, voice rising until it rings with desperation. You will give your blood, or we will take it, Junji says, as stern as he's been with me since I was a little girl. This city will stand and prosper and flourish for another 700 years. You know this is the way things are done in Yuan. And the way things will always be done. Nothing I say now will change that. Nothing I do will accomplish anything but putting off the inevitable. Escape is impossible, but still I turn and run. I skid into my room and slam the door behind me, throwing the lock seconds before Junji throws his weight against the door. I back away from the trembling wood, hands shaking at my sides. I won't let him take my death. It's the only thing I have left, the only thing that matters. My death will be mine. I will have my revenge against this city and the monster beneath the ground so eager for my blood, and I will finally be free of it all. Of life and fear and love and loss, free of my responsibilities, free of my failures. free of this love that's been nothing but another curse, another stone around my neck, pulling me into the depths of an ocean of pain so deep I will never hit the bottom. I want to be free. Free. Isra, open the door, Junji shouts. Free, I say aloud. I've always craved freedom more than anything else. Anything. Even if one city in the dome and one monstrous can love the other more than they love anything else. If I'm brutally honest with myself, do I really love Gem more than freedom? Have I ever loved anything more than that elusive, seductive unknown? If I had the choice, Gem or freedom, even the freedom that will come with death, when all of my obligations have been honored and I am free to exit on my own terms, what would I choose? Gem is strong and brave and clever and good, and he makes me feel things I never dreamed I could feel, but he is also difficult and frustrating and impatient and overwhelming. His arms feel like home, but he represents everything strange and uncertain and unknown. Loving him means gathering up all of those things and carrying them with me forever. Love means being vulnerable and beholden. Love means embracing the pain I've been holding myself apart from all the months I've waited for him. It means taking that pain and claiming it, and knowing it might not be the last of the pain he'll bring into my life. Love is pain, and pain is the opposite of freedom, and freedom is all I've ever wanted, but I've never really stopped to wonder why. Why do I want my freedom so desperately? Why do I dream of the wind instead of something solid or permanent that maybe I can hold in my hands, my arms? Maybe. Isra! Isra! Junji is still shouting loud enough to rattle the door, but his cries seem muted, drowned out by the roar of the revelation taking place inside me. I had nothing better, I whisper, back in the time before Gem, back in the darkness, in my cage, my narrow world, with death waiting with his arms outstretched, and only my father to help me prepare for the long walk to greet him. There was nothing better than the dream of having no ties to bind me. But Gem, with all of his flaws and complications and high expectations, is better. His love, his faith in me, his belief that I can be as strong and brave as he is, the way he makes me feel and think and try harder than I've ever tried. All of it, all of him is better than anything else. Anything at all. I take a breath and let the pain and love and admiration and everything I feel when I think of Gem fill me up, soak into my soul, and break my heart wide open. It hurts so much, but it's also a relief. It's also warm and peaceful and safe, beautiful. This kind of love is weightless, limitless, and almost exactly what I'd imagined freedom would feel like. If only I'd known sooner. If only I could thank Gem for helping me find the only thing I've ever wanted as much as I want him.